Hello friends, my name is Fanrol, and today I have a confession to make. Sometimes I like tricking my guildmates into playing some busted comps. I don't mean the good kind, where you would stack all kinds of overpowered builds or abuse broken tactics. I really do mean busted comps. Last month I asked a few of my guild members to become picked volunteers, and whether they wanted to join me for the End of Dragons strike missions, just a simple normal mode clear. I asked all of them to come on a Necromancer, however, and once they got there, I made one more tiny request. To remove their healing skill, all of their utilities, as well as their elite skill, and equip minions instead. One Necromancer can have up to 6 permanent minions up at all times, so that meant we would be 10 players running around with 60 minions in total. Or so I thought. One of my friends actually mentioned there's 3 sets of runes we should be looking at. The superior runes of the Lich were the obvious role-playing choice, as we would be summoning jagged horrors on top of all of the minions we already had. Instead opted to cosplay as a pirate and brought superior runes of the privateer, to at least have a little bit of access to might, and having my character shot DR every so often and summoning a parrot instead. Funnily enough, no one was a fan of the runes of the ogre. Guess there's no more love for rock dogs these days. In exchange for all of our teammates bringing minions, I told them they could bring whatever build they wanted. I figured people who wanted to play a power build would bring Spite and Soul Reaping, and the people who wanted to play condition build instead would change Spite out for curses. But boy was I wrong. Before we even started our first fight, someone suggested to take a look at the death magic trait line instead. Especially because of Carapace, which would add 20 toughness per stack, and at 6 minions that would mean we would have 12 stacks at the minimum. All of a sudden, some of our team would be more akin to brick walls than a caster class. Carapace lets you easily stack over 3k toughness on a Necromancer, and you can even sustain over 3.5k toughness should you wish to do so by using some food and utilities. The worst part of that, all of those playing a Power Reaper would kind of have an excuse, because the Deadly Strength trait would give them increased strength for each stack of Carapace they had. Now, because my teammates were so willing to be experimented on, I volunteered to bring one of my favorite builds that I never get to play. I'm talking about a heal harbinger, but like them I removed all my utility and chose minions instead. And I gotta be honest, the second I could, I dumped Soul Reaping in favor of Death Magic as well, because I didn't want to miss out. And thank God, one other player volunteered to absolutely gimp himself as well, and become a heal harbinger too, so we would at least have some healing and regeneration. As for the combat itself, we severely nerfed our own damage, but in return, the boss's attacks felt like one would expect. It was like they were trying to break through a brick wall with a styrofoam sword. And being all Necromancers and not being able to bring any utilities also meant something else. We had access to 0 alacrity. And I'm gonna be honest, nobody really cared about it either, because we were having fun. And that would be it, we thought. Until we got to Harvest Temple, and only our Reapers had access to stability. Now, I didn't think that would be a problem, because we do this strike all the time. But I was wrong, because none of us were paying attention to any mechanic happening, or could find our own characters on the screen. So we actually got wiped out once by the shockwave, which is kind of embarrassing to admit. So we tried again, trying to take the strike mission as seriously as possible given the circumstances. We applied our expert jumping puzzle skills, and we cleared the boss just fine. And that is when a few of our members had to leave, so that would have meant the end of the run. Except at this point, everyone was so invested that we managed to scam a few other guildies into joining us on Minion Mancers as well, and we set foot in Wing 3. Once we got to keep construct, which is generally an okay fight as long as you have power DPS, we got presented with a few challenges, and especially a few challenges for me. Because I had the stupid idea to volunteer pushing the orbs, which I'm already not great at under normal circumstances. Let's just say my team had to be happy with a few less stacks than they are used to during the burn phase. In the end, we prevailed though, in probably the biggest nail-biter raid fight I have endured during my time playing this game, but all of us had great fun. And now for the best part. I tricked them into joining me this Friday on an all-engineer run. As it turns out, you can bring 40 turrets, and there's an elite skill that gives another 3 turrets per player. Anyway, that's about it for this video. If you have fun ideas for specs I can scam my teammates into playing, please let me know in the comments below. If you liked it, please like this video, and your subscription would mean the world to me.